All right, I think we are recording. Okay, so let's go through the lecture for this week. This week we're going to talk about mastering HTML text formatting. This is a recap from last week. You can read this pretty much. But last week was the introduction to web design, so you learned a lot about what web design was. This week, we're going to talk about HTML formatting and bringing your words to life. Typography is huge for web design because the way a viewer views your site, that helps with their readability, legibility, their ability to be able to enjoy your site. Also, if they have any accessible needs, like with vision and things like that, you're making sure that they can enjoy your site just as well as anyone else. All right, so let's go to the next one. Why text formatting matters. Um, I just went over a little bit of this, but it enhances readability and comprehension, creates visual hierarchy and structure, conveys tone and emphasis, reinforces branding and design aesthetics. Some code examples that are listed here. There are way more. You're going to see more when you go to W3 schools. But this is just giving you a pretty synopsis of some examples. These are some common ones. Headings, where you go from heading 1 to heading 6, with heading 1 being the largest, heading 6 being the smallest. And just for reference, W3 schools, if I wanted to learn about headings, I could just type headings here. There's several ways to get to it as well, but I'll click here H1 to H6 so that you can see it in action. You have access to this. This is your textbook, so you're definitely going to be using this. Um, it's showing me the different headings. Down here it gives me definitions and usage. So you'll learn that the H1, H6, there are tags used to define the different headings, the different levels of headings. H1 defining the most important, which is going to be largest. H6, the least important, which is going to be the smallest. Um, you only in web design, I know it's different in Word and other things like that, but in web design, you only have one heading per page. Okay, one heading, sorry, wrong choice of words. You only have one H1 heading per page. Okay, you can have as many H2s, as many H4, as many any other headings as you want, but you have to define what the most important thing is on your page for the browsers and search engines, and that's going to be your heading 1. Okay, so one heading 1 per page. All right. And then you go further down and you'll read the rest of the information. And you will have assigned readings every week. So make sure that you're not skipping those readings. The cool thing about doing the readings here on W3 Schools is it's interactive. For instance, um, this is showing the 6 headings. You can click on try it for yourself, and it's going to bring you inside of over here is the code editor, and over here is your viewer. So if I wanted to make a change to this H1, like instead of saying this is a heading 1, maybe I want to say this is an important heading, right? So this is, well, let me say this is the most important heading. Okay. So you're not seeing anything change over here. Um, but oh, there you go. You're not seeing anything change over here, but that's because I didn't hit run. So this is how this works on W3 School. If I hit run, now you're going to see that it made the changes that I chose. So the cool thing about this is you can copy and paste from here into your code editor, whichever one you guys choose to use, but it's a pretty good resource and I love it. The other thing is it opens in its own tab. So if you look and you're like, oh, I'm trying to hit the back button, it's not going to go back. So if we wanted to go back to where we were, we would. But before we do that, I want to show you this. So this is H1, that's your largest heading. See how it's going down as it goes down. So it's H2, H3, H4, H5. So all the way to H6. These are the headings and these are how they work. Okay, let me go back to our PowerPoint. Paragraphs work the same. These are paragraph tags. They're going to be a paragraph. So if I go back to here, back to our editor that we have open. And I wanted to add, see right here where it says paragraph, that's a paragraph tag. Let me zoom in, make sure you guys can see that. Okay. So that's a paragraph tag. You're going to see another tag in there. We'll talk about that later. But this is your paragraph tag, P tag, and that's your closing paragraph tag. Okay. The only difference in an open and a close is a close has a slash. Um, this entire thing, just so you know, is called a element. From whatever the open tag is to the close tag, it is a paragraph element. This entire group of information is a paragraph element because it sits inside of an open and a closed tag. You're going to hear words like element. You need to learn that terminology. So I just want to make sure you know. So these are elements. This heading one, this whole thing is an element because it's inside of the open H1 tag all the way to the end H1 tag. Body, if I grab all of that is the body element because it is inside of the body open tag and inside the body close tag. So again, if I can do a different one, H2, all of that is an H2 element because there's an open H2 tag and a closed H2 tag. Again, the difference between the two is that the closing H2 tag has a slash. Um, Okay, so I'm a trick question. Let's see. Just so, what is this? What element would this be? Since I've highlighted all this. If you said HTML, you are so right, right? Because there's an open HTML tag right here and a closing HTML tag right there. Okay. So that's how that works. Let me go back. Okay. So paragraph like that. A line break is going to be the same as a soft return when you do a soft return in Word or other text programs. It's when you hit uh, Shift Enter so that it does a soft line break versus a hard paragraph. So that's a line break. All it's going to do is break the line, meaning wherever you put that BR tag, it's going to put whatever uh, everything else below it on the next line. Bold, which you saw in the editor, this is the bold. Hey, I selected both of those. What is that? Yep, you got it. The bold element, right? Because it's open tag and closing tag. All right, but this is the bold element. This means that the word tip, we should look over here, and it is bold. And you see it, it is. Another thing I want to point out with the H1s or the heading tags, we didn't put bold in there. So the browser is automatically programmed to make these bold. So anytime there's a heading, it's automatically going to be bold and it gives it spacing. Notice there's spacing here, spacing here. With paragraph, there's not much spacing. There is a line and that's it. So those are the few things that it does. So there are certain tags that have certain styles attached to them that are already programmed inside the browser. Okay, but anyway, this is bold. That is tip. The word tip is bold. That's how they got that to be bold. So let me go back to our PowerPoint. Italic, that's italicized, right? Um, so one thing I want to point out, this is bold. So if you use a bold tag or a strong tag, it is going to be bold and it's going to look the same. Why they may look the same, there are very huge differences between the two. So there's bold and there's M. So we have italic, which is going to italicize your word, and we have M for emphasis, which is going to emphasize the word. We have bold, which is going to make the word bold, and we have strong, which is going to do the same exact thing. But the biggest differences are for screen readers. So when a screen reader reads it, if let's go back to when a screen reader reads it, I'm going to add another word in here just so that actually, no, I'm just going to make, let's see, where it says make text, I'm going to make this one bold or big. I'm going to put strong, bold or big. Okay, so I'm adding the strong element around bold or big. and there's already a bold around tip. So when I hit run, you're gonna see that it got bold. It looks the same as tip, right? It looks like there is no difference. But a screen reader, when it sees these, it's going to add emphasis to it. The same with the emphasis, it's going to add emphasis. So to show you, so if I was a screen reader and I'm reading this, I'm going to say, it's just going to say tip, use H1 to H6 elements for headings. Do not use them to make, but then when it gets here to big or bold, it's going to say, do not use them to make big or bold, right? So it's telling the screen reader, oh, your voice has to add emphasis to that. Whereas with the word tip, it's for presentation only. You and I can see it. We have, we can see, but someone who can't see, they're not going to be able to see, oh, that it's bold, or this, that, and other. That machine has to tell them, like in the reading, oh, this is bold. So we are actually telling the browser, and oh, sorry, their screen reader. We're actually talking to the screen reader and saying, hey, make this emphasize this. But then for this one, it's not going to see anything. So it's just going to read, like I said, it's going to say tip, use H1, H6. There's no emphasis on that. But then when it gets to bold or big, it's actually going to change its voice in the screen reader. The same for emphasis. So if I go and I say headings, and I give headings an italic, right? So I'm going to give it an I. You're going to see that it looks the same, right? So I just wrapped it in. I wrapped the word headings into the italic, and then I'm going to put something emphasis. I'm going to say tags down here, and I'm going to give it an EM. And I got to wrap it, right? Where there's an open, there must be a close. Okay, so emphasis. So when I run this, you're going to see they look the same. But if a screen reader reads it, it's going to say elements only for headings. Do not use them, right? So it read it at the same voice, same pitch, same everything. But when it gets to use other tags, it's going to emphasize that because I told it to, because I gave the M tag. So that's the only difference between let me go back to the presentation. So that's the only difference between the bold. So the B is for presentation purposes, meaning we see it with our eyes. We can see that it's bold. It presents itself as bold. But when you give it a strong, then you're saying, oh no, you say this with emphasis. You say that strongly. You say it bold. And the same with italic, with the regular I for presentation, we see that it is italicized. But then with the EM, we are actually hearing that is emphasized. Okay. So that's the difference in those two. So I want to make sure um, to point that out because that's going to be very, very important when you're creating your website. Because, like I said, you want to make the same experience for someone who can see or as close to the same experience as someone who can see as the person who can't, who relies on those machines to be able to understand. So, all right, so that's pretty important. Underline does exactly that. It's going to underline the text. So if I go back to the text editor and we want to put elements, maybe underline, you would just make it a U element, right? Okay. So now when we look and we run this, you'll see that there's an underline under elements. Okay. So that's how markup works. Markup is really just marking up the text, marking up the different areas. Let's see. And subscript and superscript are what you would think. They're gonna be like the same as they are on a um in Word. So let's say I put 16 th, and I want that to, let me give it let's do sub. All right, so I'm going to put the subscript around the th. I'll run that, and you'll see it's down below, right? That's subscript. So if I want That's for 16th, right? So I put a subscript there. And if I wanted, let's say 18, 18th here, and I wanted that to be superscript, so I'll put SUP, and then I'll put close SUP. Oops. Okay, and then run that, and you'll see that it's superscript, right? It's above it. So that's pretty much what this slide is talking about. Like I said, there are plenty more. You're going to see more in your readings. Um, when you get to the reading area of the assignment, but that's what we're talking about for now. Okay, block quotes, quotation sites, deleting and insert. They're all self-explanatory. A block quote is for like quotations. It's going to give it a certain indent. And you'll see all this cite when you're citing citations, like if you're doing a report and stuff like that. Delete text. It's going to put a strike through the text that you want to delete and insert text. We'll lift the text and put an insert in there. Play with these, but these are really, really good for for your accessibility and SEO of your site. That's why having good markup is very important. Okay, let's see. List. You're going to use list all the time. I thought I had a list open, but I don't. So let me type. But the cool thing about W3 Schools, you type what you want and it appears, which is awesome. Okay. So these are lists. You have ordered lists, unordered lists, so, description lists, and things like that. So you will go through here. I'm not going to go through them all. I'll just click on one and we'll try it for yourself. So this is an unordered list, and the difference in an unordered list is how you're going to get the bullets because there's no order to it. And your order list is where you're going to get numbers naturally with it. Now, there are a lot of changes that you can make, and you'll learn all those down the line. And there are also other lists, but these are the main two lists that you're going to see. It is the I'll tell you words. It's very late, so yeah, it's like after 1 in the morning, so my voice is very tired. But anyway, so you have an unordered list, which is this one, and you represent it by these putting it in this UL element, which stands for unordered list. And then each item of the list is your LI. And it doesn't matter whether it's an unordered list or unordered list, each item is going to be LI, which stands for list item. Okay, so we have like coffee. You see that right there. You see tea, you see milk. If we wanted to add another one, I could just click, put another LI element, and I'll say coffee, tea, milk, soda, or pop, you know. I know some people like pop. I have a cousin from Michigan and we joke about that all the time. But anyway, so soda. So if I click it, you'll see I have another list item show. If I wanted to add another unordered list or another ordered list, I could just by just typing, let's say OL, right? Attribute. And see, this is what I mean by you can work directly um inside of this browser, inside of this editor. It's kind of cool. Um, and then transfer it where you want. But okay, so I can say LI. Told you I was tired. All right, and then LI. And then so now I can start typing whatever I want it to be in this list. Like I could say, what's another category of drink? Juice. You know, and then I'll run that and you'll see another list shows up. And if I wanted to add a H2, which means I wanted to add a title for this, maybe I'll say kids drink or something, or kids fave, then I'll just add a H2 element, kids faves, and then close my H2. So now I have an H2 element that I've added. I'll run it and you'll see there's kids faves and there's the juice. So lists are pretty easy. Honestly, HTML can be easy. It can be challenging. But once you really, really get it, it's super easy. And these are definition lists, like are for terms, like glossaries, for like definitions and things like that, recipes. Um, and you can play around with that as you will. Oh, I'm going down the line. Okay, yeah. Special characters. These are entities, and what entities are is like if you want to put the copyright symbol in there, that's my favorite. I use that all the time. Um, you'll have to do it this way because there are certain, when you're dealing with HTML and the web, there's other languages that use these symbols. So you can't just put the symbols in there. It'll confuse it'll confuse the browser. So there are these things called entities where you have like the and ampersand, the word copy, the semicolon for copy. This one is for non-breaking space, which is ampersand NBSP. Um, then for the ampersand, which we talked about, if you want to use the ampersand, see, and you can't just use the ampersand because it is used even in here. So if you want to put an ampersand, you put the ampersand AMP colon, and then you'll get the ampersand, greater than sign, less than sign, and there's a whole list on W3 Schools for entities. Okay, so that, and there's a whole list of them, and here they are for different entities. This is another popular one, trademark, copyright, um, pound, and see it's giving you what that entity is right there. Single quotation, double quotation, because quotes are used in other languages too, especially JavaScript and things like that. So you'll want to use the entity, but that's what entities are. Um, okay, let's go to the next slide. So for this one, this is pretty. This actually is one of my faves because let me go here. Let's go ahead and type that. Um, because what it allows you to do is when you just type things into a browser, it's just gonna be all one. So let's go to try for yourself for a second. So when you just, we're gonna ignore that that's there for a second, and we're gonna just type. So let's see, give it a P tag, P element. Okay, so got the open and a close, and I'm just gonna type. I'm gonna say, today was a fun day. I am so tired. How tired am am I? I am, oops, goodness. I am so tired that I can not type without misspelling words. Wow. That is pretty tired, I'd say. What do you say? Okay, so notice I typed this, right? And I'm gonna run it. Okay. And this is how it comes out. Now I had, if I were to, let's say, let me click here. Let me hit enter a couple of times. Okay. So I'm hitting enter after the word wow, and I'm hitting enter after the first day. I mean, I'm hitting enter twice. Okay. So now when I run this, it looks the same, but know that over here I hit enter after all of these. So you would think it would give spaces, and it does not. It doesn't give you spaces. It doesn't give you spaces because the web only does one character space at a time, right? That's all it's going to give you. So no matter how many spaces I put in here, it gives you one character space. So when you do pre though, you'll notice over here there are spaces, and it's going to do it exactly as you um it's going to do it exactly as you type it. So notice how in here it's got this space. Look over here. It's got that space. Now, if I were to do this up here, right? I'm going to do that and I run it. It didn't change because it's only accounting for one character space. So that's what pre does. Pre is going to make it look exactly how you type it. So if let's say I put like where this N is, I'm going to put some space in there and like just go crazy. When I run it, notice it's doing it. So pre will allow it stands for pre-formatted, and it will allow you to type it and your type to look exactly like you type it, spacing and all. It's pretty cool. So every now and then, if I'm lazy and I don't want to, and I don't feel like doing a whole bunch of crazy tags to make things happen, sometimes I'll use it, but I keep it within. Um, I don't use it a lot or overuse it because I don't want to confuse anything. But that is your pre-tag, and in here, it's telling you that it gives you a fixed. Sorry, it's displayed in a fixed font width. It preserves spaces and line breaks, and text will be displayed exactly as it's written, which is pretty cool. Sometimes pretty cool. All right, so that'll be in your reading. You'll read about that, but I love pre. All right. So here is just showing you an example of a web page, and um, it's a beautiful web page. It actually won an award. And it's a pretty good page. So that's all that page is. You can look at that yourself. And then now it's time for you to practice. So you're gonna go through and read. It's actually more than these three, but you're gonna go through and read and in Blackboard for your assignment. Analyzation. Okay. And then the assignment is it's a pretty cool assignment. So hang on. So we're gonna then you have if you have any questions or whatever, I meet every this class. This is web 1. So I meet every Wednesday at 5:30. I have quite a few classes, so I gotta remember which one I'm in and what days we meet. But yeah, Wednesdays at 5:30 in the class Collaborate. It is not mandatory, but it is something that I offer so that if you guys have any questions or anything like that. So you'll always see me say, remember to have fun. Oh, this is web 1, right? Well, our time is 5:30. I gotta fix that. But anyway, I always remind you to have fun. Don't get overstressed. Contact me, communicate. We can do this. Okay, so the other thing, I think I have it open. I wanted to go over with you discussion boards. Discussion boards. Your initial discussion board post is due every Wednesday. That means that's where you're answering the questions, and um, so you're doing exactly what it says. And then on Sundays, by Sunday, you need to have responded to everybody else's post. The reason I have it this way is because if if you all have yours in by Wednesday, that means that everybody has a chance to comment on um, the classes uh, the classes post. So it's very important that you have yours in by Wednesday. Okay. And let me see. This is gonna look different than yours, but I'm just going in module 2. Derp, 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 not meaning where I want to go. Module 1, and we're in week 2. Okay, so in week 2, um, we have the discussion board, and then you have your there's a bonus activity this week. Hey, these bonus activities do help people, have been known to help people. They've been the thing that pushed them that grade up. So check them out. They're usually about 10 points each, I think, but definitely check them out. And then this is the lecture that I just went over. And then you have your weekly readings. I have them linked for you. So you just click it and it's going to take you exactly where you need to go. So for instance, if I click on HTML formatting, you'll see it opens in a new window and there it is. So definitely do the readings. Please don't skim them. It does not go well for you when you don't and you get behind. And then you're trying to all of a sudden catch up and it's hard and you can't. So or it's very difficult. So please stay on top of those. I try to make them um pretty manageable and you can see, look at this. There's not a lot to read. It's all huge type. You know what I mean? So definitely check them out and play. And it's also interactive. So really get a feel for it because the only way you're going to really learn it is through practice. Okay. And then we have your assignment. Um, this week you're analyzing a website's HTML. So you're going to go to a website that you like, um, that you think is pretty cool. You're going to view their source code. Like for instance, if let's say I click on W3 schools, this is what I mean by view source code. I'm right now working in, I think I'm in Chrome. Okay. So you right click and then you're going to see view page source. Okay, all right. So you right click, you'll see view page source. You're going to click it and it's going to give you the source of the page. So what you're going to do is look for different things that, now theirs is pretty robust, but you're going to look for different things that, like you look for a header tag and like this has a lot of JavaScript. So just scroll down and you'll start to see tags that are familiar to you. So like body, right? That's familiar. Um, these div tags, they're familiar. If they're not yet, they will be. The href tag, that's familiar. That's a link. Um, title tag, the italic, right? There's the I. There's the closing of the I. Um, the link right here. There's your link, and it starts here. So this right here is that link element. Then there's but there's several tags. So you're gonna search for tags that are familiar, and then you're going to let me go back to here. Oops, that's not the one. Go back to here, and then you're going to identify different things. There's more than these, so you're going to identify, but these are just some examples. And then you're going to write an analysis about it, like the tag names to another. Now, I know that sounds like, oh my gosh, what? So I created a sample for you. It's right here. So you click on that. It's going to make you say, yeah, I want to see the copy. So you click that, and then it's going to open up a copy of of a form. So the way you would fill this form out, let me go ahead and close this real quick. The way you fill this form out is you have the elements over here, and you may add more if you want, or different elements. Doesn't have to be these, but the element name you're gonna put here. The tag name is here. So for instance, HTML container is the HTML tag. So you put that tag name there, or the title is the title right here. Body is the body right here. So like if I were to fill it out on, where'd that source go? Got too many tags open. Let me close some. Okay. If I were to fill it out on this one, let's say I'm gonna say they have nav, right? Because there's nav right there. Where is, there it is. Okay. So this whole thing is nav. So if I wanted, I would go here and I would say, okay, I'm gonna say navigation, right? Navigation. And then I'm gonna make the tag is nav. And then I'm gonna say this this allow you to um, move around move around a website or web page through, you'll put whatever your definition is, links. Okay. So this allows you to move around a website through links. And then an example from the website, I could either copy. Now I chose a big one because I chose nav, and that's a huge one. So I would copy this, and yours probably won't be this big. I did choose a big one, but I would copy this and I would paste it here. And that's the assignment, right? And so I do have it set up to where it will wrap, so you don't have to worry about if you can't see it, I'll be able to see it. So, um, but yeah, so that's the assignment. It is pretty much, you saw me, I hit navigation, the nav area. I said to show that I know what this does. This allows you to move around a web page or a website through links, and then I pasted the information in there. Okay, so that's how this works. Like I said, I already did the sheet for you. I also have instructions down here as well if you forget, but I created a sheet for you to make this easier. That's pretty much the assignment. It's easy. I know the word analysis sounds scary, but it's not. It's very easy. I think that's all I wanted to go over with you. Um, I mean, discussion board, I went over that in the beginning. Pretty easy. Um, and this bonus, just so you see, oh, it's a discussion board. But anyway, so there are questions inside of here, and you can answer them, and then and that's pretty much it. So yeah, so this week it's a pretty easy week. The I think the hardest thing is the analysis, which isn't really that hard. If you look at what I did, but um I just think that's the scariest word probably. But if you have any issues, please don't hesitate to reach out. Please come and join us Monday night. And if you need anything cleared up or what have you, but that is all I want to talk to you about in a nutshell. Um, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I am looking forward to seeing what you guys produce. And ta-ta for now. Ta-ta, ta-ta.